Hello everyone, my name is Ryan Lebrecq. I've been asked to come down and speak to you today about winter tires versus all-season tires. So I want to give you guys a little information as to the benefits you're going to see with winter product. Not only that, but the right winter product for your vehicles, right? I'm going to start off here with a little video, or a couple of videos that you can find on the Tire and Rubber Association of Canada's website. So that's not our website. It has no affiliation to Charlesglen Toyota. It is completely brought to you by the government so that you can see the value in which the product does for you, right? So I'll just click these off.
For this demonstration, we have two identical all-wheel drive trucks. The black one is equipped with all-season so-called mud and snow tires on all four wheels. The red one has 4 winter tires installed, as indicated by the mountain snowflake symbol on the sidewall. Let's see how they compare. In our braking demonstration, the two trucks approach at the same speed side by side. When they reach a predetermined point, both drivers brake hard to activate the ABS. The all-season equipped black truck stops well after the marker, while the red truck with winter tires easily stops before the marker. In the cornering demonstration, the two vehicles approach a snow-covered curve at the same speed. The leading truck with the all-season tires starts to slide at the rear. Then the front end loses grip too. The vehicle soon runs out of road, nose first. We try again. This time, the loss of grip at the rear is too severe to correct. The all-season equipped truck loses control and spins completely around. At lower speeds, the all-season truck tires were close in performance, but as speeds increased, the winter tires were clearly the best setup for winter driving conditions.
The biggest thing I like to point out about that video is they are using apples and apples, right? So the tires that are on the all-seasons are Michelin LTX M&S 2s. So it's Michelin's premium all-season tire. It has siping, it has tube siping in it, much like the winter tire. Doesn't have as much of the silica-based compounding that you get in the winter tire to keep it soft at 7 degrees or lower, right? So the winter tires were the Michelin X Ice. So it's premium brand showing their all seasons versus their winters to give you a very accurate understanding of the story. I'll play you one more and then I'll get into my slideshow.
For this demonstration, we have two rear-wheel drive vehicles. The white Ford is equipped with all-season tires on all 4 wheels. The gold Mercedes has 4 winter tires installed. Let's see how they compare. In our braking demonstration, the two cars approach at the same speed, side by side. When they reach a predetermined point, both drivers brake hard to activate the ABS. The all-season equipped white Ford finally stops after the marker, while the gold Mercedes with winter tires easily stops before the mark. In the cornering demonstration, the two vehicles approach a snow-covered curve at the same speed. The leading car with 4 winter tires safely negotiates the curve. The following car begins to slide, loses control, and spins completely around. In case you're thinking that it's the car that makes the difference, let's switch the tires around and try again. This time, the gold Mercedes has 4 all-season tires. White Ford has 4 winter tires. The Mercedes has so little traction it can barely get up to speed for the braking test, and then stops well after the marker, while the white Ford easily stops in time. In the cornering demonstration, the all-season equipped Mercedes slides to the outside of the corner and bogs down in the deeper snow. We try again, and this time the rear end loses grip and spins around. Unpredictability is the rule. The white Ford, now with winter tires, has no trouble negotiating the curve. Okay, but why do I need 4 winter tires? Wouldn't 2 be enough? On the Mercedes, we install a pair of winter tires on the rear wheels, but keep the all-season tires on the front. We leave the 4 winter tires on the Ford. Let's see how they compare in the braking demonstration. The Mercedes doesn't do much better than with 4 all-season tires, It still takes much longer to stop than the Ford equipped with the 4 winters. In the cornering demonstration, the driver has the steering wheel turned to the left. The Mercedes just won't turn. Despite electronic stability control, there's simply not enough grip on the front with the all-season tires. Winter tires on all wheels is the best setup for winter driving conditions.
I wanted to show you guys that because what we're seeing in that is a 4x4 vehicle and how the winter tires affect and help to maintain handling. And then with the car, you could easily see that the same thing applied. It was actually even greater with the car, but good thing to point out is that even with the 4-wheel drive, easier to get started because you have 4-wheel drives, but you can't stop. That's the problem. Not only stop, but you can't maneuver yourself out of trouble if someone ahead of you wasn't wise enough to put 4 winter tires on themselves. And I also like to point out the 2 winter tires versus 4, because when you put 2 on, let's say you put the 2 on the back, you're going to get started, but you can't turn because that front wheel has no traction. So if we were to do the same thing and put the winter tires on a front wheel drive car and leave the all seasons on the back, what you would find is the car would lose control when it were around the corner and the back end would swing out. And actually, if you guys want to go on to the Rubber Association of Canada's website, you can pull up and look at those videos, and there's many more, and they'll show you that. They'll show you when they just put 2 winters on the front, and in that braking demonstration where they just wanted to stop, the front wheel drive car actually spins out of control because it has no way of holding traction on the back. A little slideshow here for you. It's a winter tire presentation. After this presentation, you will know winter tire terms, winter tire basics, and why winters versus all seasons. Traction refers to the maximum frictional force that can be produced between surfaces without slipping. You see on this winter tire, you have many sites that are going to grab onto the ice, and you have great patch contact. So the difference between an ice radial and a snow tire is going to be a little more aggressive, and if you're driving out in the country or in deep snow, a studdable snow tire is probably your best bet. But if your concern is black ice and highways and what have you, then you're going to want to go to an ice radial like the Michelin XISi 3. And the beauty of that Michelin is the patch contact is going to be greater than that of the more aggressive tread. And it's all about how much patch contact holds to the ground. Contact patch is the portion of a vehicle's tire that is in actual contact with the road surface. Siping is a process of cutting thin slits across a rubber surface to improve traction in wet or icy conditions. Good thing to point out here, you see this here is an actual ice radial, very soft, very supple compounding. The siping that you see on this tire, this is a Michelin XISi 3, goes all the way to the bottom. In a snow tire, it'll be on the first 2 to 5/30 seconds of the tire and it's gone. So a snow tire becomes essentially an all-season when it gets down to about 5/30 seconds remaining. And it loses all of its abilities to perform as a snow or a winter-rated tire. Michelin XISi 3 and Bridgestone Blizzak are siped right to the bottom of the treads. So for the life of that tire, it is an actual winter tire. All-season tires. Good all-weather performance, not as effective in heavy snow and slush. Wide or high-performance tires. Unless designated for snow, traction is limited in snowy conditions. Winter tires, deeper tread, best for snow and slush, and on ice as well as wet and dry roads. Studded tires, most effective on wet ice or where the temperature is near or below 0. The problem is, when you put a stud into a tire and you're right on the asphalt, the noise is horrendous, and that's a deterrent in itself, right? And of course, metal on asphalt isn't going to stop as effectively as that ice radial would, that winter tire, right? Because it's going to have greater patch contact, so it touches more of the road. Tires marked with this symbol meet the requirement for excellent snow traction performance. They are designated for driving in snowy conditions. So you can see here the Mountain 3-Peak Snowflake will be designated on all approved winter tire product. If it doesn't have this symbol, it is not a winter tire. Snow tires Have more sipes than summer tires, increasing traction on snow and ice, but reducing grip on dry and wet roads. Tires designed for winter conditions are optimized to drive at temperatures below 7 degrees Celsius. So the reason we want to get into that, it's not because we want to sell you more tires because you're going to run your tires out quicker. It's that all-season rubber loses its pliability at 7 degrees above zero. This isn't below zero, this is still above zero. So the mornings when you guys are driving into work, your traction is reduced for the optimal performance, right? What's happening is there's two distinct markets out there. Because of our seasonality, so we definitely have a tire, and all season is becoming more and more a summer run only tire. And then the winter tire is designed for our climates. You know, and it's funny, if you go to see the Calgary Flames play, you're going to see their Zamboni used to have studded tires on it. Today it's running around on Michelin's or Bridgestone Blizzacs. And the reason for that is the technology is that great that they find the traction better and less damaging to the ice surface to actually run an ice radial tire. If you intend driving in severe winter conditions, install 4 winter tires that meet the snow tire designation on your vehicle. These snow tires will assist you to control your vehicle safely in slippery conditions. Mixing tires. You should never mix brands. I don't care if it's all seasons and all seasons, winters and winters. You always want to run the same sizes unless you have a staggered fitment vehicle that's designed for it. And you also want to run the same speed ratings. So essentially you always want to have the same brand and the same model of tire on all 4 wheel positions. Very, very important. As a tire wears, snow traction is reduced. Tires that are worn close to the tread wear indicators have reduced traction should not be used on snow-covered roads or in severe snow conditions. Proper air pressure extends the life, improves safety, and reduces fuel consumption. All vital factors in saving energy and protecting the environment. Tire pressure decreases as temperatures drop, so be sure to check your pressures at least once a month. The big thing is quite a few of us have heated garages at home. And so we're driving in and out of extreme conditions, right? So you're in your garage, it's 15 degrees, 20 degrees, depending on how high you have it set. And then you pop outside, and in Calgary, you're getting to minus 30s to minus 40s with wind chill. That plays havoc on your air pressure. Now, one thing that's come around in recent years is the TPMS technology, which controls and monitors your air pressure. That's a great assistance to us, because if it does decrease by 20%, we're going to know it because it's going to show on our dash. But I still suggest that every month you pop in and get your air pressures checked to make sure that you're not below what you should have in the tire. It's going to increase your fuel savings. It's going to increase the life of the tire. Other tires marked M&S or mud and snow tires, also known as all-season tires, continue to provide safe all-weather performance, but may not always be suitable for severe snow conditions. In order to get an M&S rating, the industry, you have to provide a certain void to tread ratio. So I've seen Flying V Chinese performance tires that are rated M&S, and the reason they're rated M&S is because there's enough V's cut into them so that they meet that requirement of tread to void ratio. But in no ways is that rubber compounding going to hold onto the road, and the siping that's designed in those tires is definitely not going to hold you on the road in winter conditions like Calgary experiences. High-wide performance tires, other than those that are specifically designed as snow tires, are not suitable for use on snow-covered roads either. Now, our industry has come a long way with developing performance-rated tires for the winter. The one thing that we do safe, though, is the winter tire designation supersedes that of a performance-rated tire. So if your vehicle comes out, like for example, my wife was driving a 2011 Toyota Sienna, and it had 94 V-rated tires. It had V-rated performance tires on it. So in order to get her into a performance tire, but I couldn't get a V in her size, I went to an H, which is a decrease in the speed performance. It is only allowed in the winter time to change that speed rating, to drop it down. You can always go up with that speed rating, but you can never drop it except for with winter. And when you do, you only want to drop it by 1. They are designing tires out there specifically for the speed ratings of your vehicles, and for the most part you're going to be able to find them, especially if you get your tires on early. And by early I mean now, right? When the temperatures in the mornings are getting down to 7 degrees, that's when it's time to put the tires on. And then you want to make sure you monitor that air pressure to get the optimum life out of the tire, right? Here's a little comparison survey showing you the difference between winters and all-season stoppability. So you got a subcontact model, and with the winter tires it stops at 39.1 meters, well short of the all-season tire of its equivalent, right? Winter tire for the minivan, same thing, a little higher center of gravity in that vehicle. So on the all-season tire, it actually slips a little further, right? But a little shorter it stops on the winter tires, probably because it's a front-wheel drive. Four-wheel drive, winter tires, 35.7 in comparison to a 42.8. The first vehicles you see in the ditches when the weather gets bad is the four-wheel drives, because they can go, but they can't stop. Exactly right, the SUVs. It's very important. If you're equipped with the right tire, even if someone in front of you is going to hit the ditch, you can maneuver around them because you're going to have the traction, even in those severe road conditions. This is a Rubber Association of Canada study suggesting that 57% of Canadians are now using winter tires. Winter tire business is exponential. So essentially what happens is if one of you decides when you leave this room to put winter tires on, you will be so amazed by the difference in the traction and the handling of that tire that you're most likely going to tell 20 people. Of those 20 people, 5 people will probably try it. And each one of those 5 are going to tell 20 people, and they're going to go get more and more people involved in winter tires, increasing the safety on the roads for everyone, right? So if you look, in the province of Quebec, QC, they have 96% compliancy, right, in 2008, 98% compliancy in 2010. And the one thing to point out there is mandatory for you to run winters on a standard vehicle. This year, it's become mandatory even on those four-wheel drives and light truck commercial vehicles. Every single vehicle on the road in Quebec has to have winter tires on it as of this year.
BC too?
BC regulates by the road, right? So you have to either carry tire chains or have winter designated tires to go through certain passes.
Well, I heard on the news that as of this year, October 1st, if you don't have winter tire, you get fined.
That's news to me, but that's a great plan. Because I tell you what, the accident rating in Quebec, since they've made these implemented the snow tire rules, have greatly reduced. So I honestly think that's how we're going to start seeing it more and more in every province, is they're going to do things with our insurance to help support the fact that you should be running winter tires. The province of Manitoba, the government is actually giving low-interest loans to people that want to get involved with winter tires because they see the safety side of it, helping them as far as their medical expenses and what have you, right? Because the number is that great. Studded tires. Studded tires were produced in the early 1960s to combat the high number of traffic collisions in northern countries where winter driving conditions were common, such as Canada. The gripping ability of a studded tire is augmented by the inclusion of studs of pins which are made of metal or ceramic. However, many countries have banned the use of studded tires because of the high level of dust emissions attributed to these tires and the damage they cause to the roads. Lab tests showed studded tires yield 60 to 100 times more particle concentration than non-studded tires on pavement. So in certain conditions where you're driving on sheer ice, a stud does a pretty good job for you, right? But in every other case, it usually doesn't, right? When you're on the dry pavement, you're doing more damage to the roads than you need to be. And in all honesty, you're not going to stop quicker because it's metal on asphalt, right? So with technology being what it is today, the ice radial is definitely the tire that you should be looking at, especially if you're driving in city or a lot of highway commutes, right? The only time you're really going to need to get into a studded or snow more aggressive tire is if you're out in the country a lot. So if you live on acreages where you don't get the roads don't get cleared, because let's face it, we're pretty spoiled. For the most part, our roads are cleaned off fairly efficiently, right? And so it's only that black ice that we really, really need to be afraid of, right? And that's where that ice radial is going to do the job for you. In every other province but Alberta, they have periods in which you can run studded tires. In Alberta, you can run them year-round. We do not regulate it. Just a little
I
information.
was doing some shopping this weekend. There are tires that have a studded studs on it
Yeah,
with a gel underneath.
yeah,
And supposedly, when it is above zero, they
sit
track,
inside.
Yes, inside the tire.
And when the
You
gel
still
freezes,
hear
it pushes it
that's
out.
right.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
technology.
I think that definitely that adds to, the use of that tire in the conditions I'm talking about. But I guarantee, even in the cold weather, when you're on the hard asphalt, that sound of the click, 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 may deter you, right? I know you can get the performance out of the ice radial. Like I said, the Zambonis are doing it at any of your local rinks. If you go in, none of them run studded tires anymore.
With a good tire and drive carefully.
Exactly right. And that's one thing to point out too. You throw on a winter tire, a nice ice radial, and what you're going to find is that your handling will be that much better. You almost get overconfident. So you have to realize to drive to the conditions in which you're still living in, right? If the roads are in poor shape, that, compounded with the fact that only 57% of the people around you are running on them. So there are people that aren't running on those winter tires, and you have to be concerned of avoiding them, right? We learned that the advanced technology found in studless ice and snow tires exceeded that of the traditional traction of studs on ice, especially considering unacceptable noise generated when the studs contacted dry and wet roads. We recommend using today's advanced tread compound and design technologies to drive through snow and on ice in winter. What they use is a silica-based compounding. And the first company to come out with that silica base was Bridgestone with their Blizzak. So they did a great job marketing around it. But if you decide to go with the Bridgestone, that's fine. It's a great tire. It does a great job. Michelin has a great tire as well. And your brand preference is going to probably lend itself to whichever brand you're more comfortable with, right? One thing I will say is they are both psyched all the way down to the bottom, remember? And they're the only tire that is psyched all the way down, and a true winter tire throughout the entire life of the tire. All-season tires do not have cold weather rubber compounds, that's the silica, channeling tread patterns, the large number of sipes, and the open tread block pattern for deep snow traction that winter tires feature. So if you look here, here's an all-season tire, and it's classified that way because of the tread-void ratio, right? Then you have a winter tire here that's a studdable option tire, and you can see it's a little more aggressive. And that's where I say a little more aggressive is going to be good for deep snow. But if deep snow is not your concern, you're better to go to that ice radial. If deep snow is your concern, it's a great product for you. And then you have the option of whether you want to stud it or not. One thing to point out, you cannot stud a tire after it's been run. You can only stud a tire when it's brand new. To help maintain control and stability of your vehicle in slippery conditions, Transport Canada recommends that snow tires are installed in sets of 4. Vehicle's handling will be improved when identical tires are installed on all 4 wheels. Also, mixing tires with different tread pattern, internal construction, and size degrades the stability of the vehicle and should be avoided. When you look at comparing a Michelin to a Bridgestone, the technology that goes into building that tire is too different. So if you try to mix those two together, what you're going to find is a lot of ride discomfort and instability in the vehicle, right? Because that Michelin, they actually have a round bead wire in it. Every other tire manufacturer has a D bead wire. Michelin sidewalls tend to be a little more soft than the other brands. So what you're going to find is you can never run another tire with a Michelin, ever. You'll notice it immediately. It's like mixing speed ratings. So questions and answers. It's winter, no snow on the ground yet. Is there a benefit to having winter tires on without snow on the ground? On dry pavement, the overall performance of an all-season tire steadily declines as temperatures get colder. The crossover point is about 7 degrees Celsius. Colder than that, a winter tire outperforms an all-season tire. Winter tires improve dramatically as temperatures fall from 7 degrees to -30. While all seasons approach not recommended status. So obviously, as it gets colder, that all-season tire becomes harder and harder. And if we look at the vehicles we're driving today, we're getting lower profile tires. The tread designs, we're looking for longevity in the tread, so it wears a long time. You're getting people out there with 140, 160,000 kilometer wear-out warranties, right? And the reason they're doing that is because they've built a tire that isn't going to stick to the ground. If it sticks to the ground, you can't get those kind of miles out of the tire. So when it comes to winter driving, it's useless. You have to get into the winter tire. And it's becoming more and more apparent every day. Now, the reverse situation of this is when the temperatures are warm in the summertime, if you were to run that soft, supple winter tire, what you would find is the stoppability would be decreased because it's too soft. Right? That's why you have to run two different seasonal tires, two different sets of seasonal tires. Why winter tires in winter and not all season? High quality winter tires use specialized ice compounds that perform best at colder temperatures. The high silica tread compounds assist with traction on ice and hard packed snow. Like I said, as it gets warm, they revert and they're actually worse because they will slide further. How will I know which tires are winter tires? Mountain, three-peak snowflake, pictogram. Winter tires bear the mountain snowflake symbol on the sidewall of the tire, which tells you that this tire has been tested and passes winter safety standards. To qualify for the severe snow usage symbol, winter tires must perform a minimum of 110% better than a standard tire in a mandated snow traction test. However, many winter tires are 100 to 150% better, which translates to shorter stopping distance and better handling. Will winter tires help me stop in slippery conditions? A study conducted by the Canadian Ministry of Transport showed that a proper winter tire can improve braking up to 25% over an all-season radial, and it can improve collision avoidance by approximately 38%. That's huge. It's all about avoiding that accident. Why shouldn't I keep winter tires on my car all year long? Winter tires are designed with softer tread compounds so they can dig into the snow and stick to the ice in low temperatures. To get the optimal performance from the winter tires on your vehicle, you should use the products as they are intended. While you could keep winter tires on all year, they typically have softer tread rubber and will wear out more quickly than an all-season tire, especially in midsummer. Do I need a studded winter tire, or is a studless ice and snow the way to go? As technology improves, we definitely know that that studless winter tire with the soft compounding. And when you go into the tire store, when you go into the dealership, and you have a look at the options there, feel the tire. Just feel how soft that ice radial is. That's it. Any questions?
So what are these all-weather tires that they recently?
So an all-weather tire is designed for people that feel that they don't want to have two sets, right? They don't want to be responsible for changing their tires on and off. And like I was explaining to you with a mileage tire, if you're buying a tire for mileage, you're not going to get traction. So every time you get something out of a tire, you give something up. So the reality is when you get into an all-weather tire, you're not really getting a good winter tire, and you're not getting a good all-season tire. So it's not nearly as effective as running what the tires were designed for the seasons that they were designed to run.
It's a good market.
Well, you know what? All the videos, all the information that I provide to you is all available online. So, and it's done by independent research, right? We have nothing to do with it. So it's not the dealership, it's not the tire manufacturers, not the wholesale distributors that are recommending it. It's the government. It's proven fact. Independent tests are showing us, right? Any other questions?